Alright guys, so good morning. Bear with me here. It is 6:25 in the morning, and since today I want to film a pull day, or a push day, I want to make sure I get to Armbrust Pro Gym and give myself the best opportunity to film. So we should be getting to the gym at 7 a.m. and lifting. I had at least like 150 carbs right before bed last night. I'm feeling good, full, not too bloated or anything, so I'm okay. So instead of putting any carbs down me at all, I could easily have a Rice Krispie treat, but right now in the next 30 minutes I need to get hydrated. So like I said, plenty of carbs in my system, not at all worried whatsoever about performance, more so worried about hydration. So I'm gonna take down a scoop of isolate and weigh in so we can digest and get to the gym. I've got a protein and oats for post-workout, a little bit of caffeine for pre-workout, and Dr. Fox gave me a brand new week's worth of exercises, which is gonna take, 45 minutes. So I have to do this 6 times before I see him again every day. So if I train, these require a lot of movement and a lot of, I don't know, technique, so they're probably best done in the gym. And because I broke my iPhone 8 auxiliary connector to Lightning, I may have to try to cross over to the dark side of the Beats world just so I can not be trolled the whole time. Let's weigh in. So after eating a lot of carbs, it's easy to get my weight up to 202. Let's drink this shake and see about these beats. Alright guys, so we're about to get to the gym. It's almost 7 a.m. so I'm pretty stoked to see what it's like on a Tuesday at 7 a.m. at Armbrust. Pretty sure it'll be busy, but we'll see if we can set up this little camera. It's pretty small, so I don't see a problem. And yeah, left side, not my pec minor, but in that area, is tight. Obviously I slept on it or something, which is annoying, but we'll see how pushing feels. I strained my pec minor a month ago and I was benching 270. And yeah, now I switched to incline and we're rebuilding from there. So I'm just trying to stay injury free, as you guys know, and we can still have fun in the gym and work hard. So I'll talk about my limitations when I'm doing the voiceover, because I'm healing my knee and my therapist is pushing me. We're doing things that are hard for me when my knee is healthy. So now we're at that level. The leg training isn't happening because I need my knee to build my vastus medialis and some of those muscles that haven't been firing. So I'm really excited about that, and my arm's getting tired, so I'm gonna put the camera away and see you guys inside. Alright guys, what is going on? We're gonna hop right into this and start with the voiceover for today's push day. So this is the first push session you guys have seen in a long time, and the topic of this video is going to be compound movements versus isolation movements for muscle growth. And I know you guys have heard me talk about this a lot, but because I've had to take time off my compound movements like squats, deadlifts, and now the flat bench and the overhead press because of my knee, it is basically stopping me from training how I believe is the best way to train and how scientifically is probably the most practical way to train over time. So let's talk about what I've learned and how I've applied it to my training. So basically, the idea of the compound movement is progression. That is the major benefit. So when you compare compound movements like the incline bench press to something with dumbbells or machine or an isolation movement for the pec, you will use more muscles in this incline press. And although you might use your stabilizers differently in a dumbbell movement because you're holding each dumbbell individually, you can generate more force through that closed, I guess, circuit or closed barbell path, so you can push. So instead of pushing 100% and 100%, where you might leave some of that energy, it might just get evaporated through effort, timing, stability, the barbell allows you to just push a little bit harder. So the reason machines were invented was to isolate the chest more, a machine press. A dumbbell is like the opposite end of the spectrum of a machine press. So if dumbbells are too unstable but they build the most muscle, I don't know why a machine would ever be invented. Barbell seems like that happy medium of being able to generate as much force without focusing on, is this bar path the exact same with my right hand as it is the left hand? The body's designed to work side by side with opposite momentum or back and forth in a cadence, or explosively with all motor units being recruited. And the barbell, especially when you're using compound movements, allows you to recruit more muscle fibers faster, harder, and through an even path that you can push through, thus minimizing the risk of doing something incorrect with either side. So compound movements allow for progression, and choosing barbell movements that provide a stable enough environment for you to press as hard as you can is going to do just that. So flat bench press is a go, guys. Incline bench press is a go, which I'm learning how to do now. And standing overhead barbell press is great. So that brings me to my next point here. If the standing overhead barbell press is so good, why am I doing a seated dumbbell press? That's because standing with 200 pounds and throwing it over my head is too much on my right knee, which is still gaining his stability back. So I figured, if I can't overhead press, I'll do the next best thing and do a full range of motion dumbbell press. Now, I would like to do a barbell seated press, but they don't have it at my gym. So instead of a barbell seated press, I'm doing an incline barbell and a seated dumbbell press, thus giving me kind of that happy medium that I'm missing. So instead of flat benching and overhead pressing with a barbell, I'm just bringing that incline up on the bench so I can use more weight in an incline position. And instead of being able to stand up fully straight in barbell press, I'm resorting to seated. So unfortunately, that's just how it's gonna go. But as my knee gets better and I bust ass with these physical therapy exercises, I won't be able to add volume to my knee. So that's that. And as you can see here, we are doing seated dumbbell press after 5 sets of bench press with 190 pounds. Like I said, I'm relearning that compound movement, and I hope to progress on it for several months before even considering hitting a plateau. And the dumbbells, not so much. I kind of want to keep them constant while raising my incline bench press volume and weight beforehand, thus kind of resulting in more shoulder strength because I'll be in a more fatigued state. So although compound movements are usually the bread and butter of my workouts, again, I've had to stay away from those movements that build the most muscle and make up for it. So that's another huge point. The pros of compound movements is you can deliver more force to the barbell with more muscles. Next pro is that you're going to be able to build more muscle with a compound movement for any period of time. So instead of doing what I'm doing here, shoulder raises, over the head extensions to hit that portion of the tricep that I'm missing from the barbell press, I have to do more exercises, put my joints under more stress, more individual side-by-side stress, tendons, etc. And I can't do the compound movement, but I'm doing everything else, and it's just not optimal. I've been doing this for a while now, and although it feels good, had I not built my strength with those compound movements, these exercises would be completely pointless, because while I've progressed on barbell curls from 50, 60, 70 to 80 now, I don't ever see myself going far past 100 pounds or 110 pounds or 120 pounds. At that point, I'll have no interest in trying to do this movement, as it might injure me. But as I do increase the weight with the chin-ups, which is next on schedule, I'll be able to just maintain this performance like I did today while increasing other movement pattern strengths like the chin-ups, the weighted chin-up, and then ultimately, instead of abusing myself with these isolations, as my compound movements take my strength to a new height, the isolations will maintain it. If I'm injured, if I need to recover, if I need to put a lot of work into one gym session, I may have to save my back or save certain joints. So that's kind of what I wanted to touch on. Isolation movements, some of the cons are that you just are using a joint on your body, you're using tendons and ligaments simply to try to hit one muscle group, where those same tendons and ligaments and same parts of your body would be used in an overhead press, but instead of only recruiting your tricep and straining your elbow, you're going to recruit your entire shoulder girdle, your erectors, your abs, your core, your hips, every part of your body And then what muscles are going to be extremely stimulated? Your triceps and your shoulders. So you cannot stimulate your muscles more with isolation work than with a compound movement. So when you walk in the gym, your goal should be, let me pick the compound movements that are going to build the muscles that I want to build. And then if you hurt yourself, okay, let me maintain this strength, let me maintain what I've learned, let me step back from my poor form and readdress this good compound movement, and in the meantime, I will use the best isolations I can that don't cause me pain within a volume and recovery where I don't get inflammation, okay? So the idea is compound movements hit more muscles and you can progress for a longer period of time, whereas isolation work does the opposite. It hits the least amount of muscle, and when you do that, you have the least amount of progress. So if you can picture a bar graph, compound movements are just gonna be like a regular increasing and then slowly tapering offline. Whereas an isolation movement is kind of just like a spike and then it stops. So a compound movement might progress for you 10, 15 years, but an isolation movement is just gonna shoot up in a year and then stay there forever. And then how do you increase that isolation up again? By hitting your compound movements and getting more overall strength. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that because I know the way I'm lifting now is slightly contradictory, but like I said, you do as many compounds as you can. When you lose one movement pattern or one compound movement pattern, go to a machine or go to an isolation, okay? And then maintain what you've gained, learn the strength, adapt with what your body is doing now and try to apply that to a different type of method like an isolation movement or a machine. So I know that's kind of long-winded and repetitive, but hopefully you guys can get something out of that. And for the last few minutes, I'll just touch on what I did in the gym exactly. So it was 5 bench sets, 4 sets of overhead press, and then I went right into a 3 exercise superset. And I say superset, but completely remove the idea of speed and doing it quickly. I simply did lateral raises, chilled, then I did tricep extensions, chilled, and then bicep curls. So on my push day, we pushed the bench, we pushed the dumbbells, and then we did long stretching skull with some compound lateral raises to get the whole shoulder girdle, at least from that angle. And of course we threw in some biceps. So that's a typical pull day for me until my body changes. This is exactly how I train. Given the injuries and given my limitations, all we have to do is get to the next level where I can unlock the epic compound movements. So just follow along, guys, and hopefully if you guys are going through similar problems, DM me, ask me for some help, bounce some ideas off of me, and always make sure to hit your calves, because even though people don't comment on them, I think they look pretty sweet, and I think it just adds to a physique. And also shout out to these No Bull shoes. I bought these with my sister out in New York. If you guys have seen No Bull on Instagram, it looks like a completely bull crap company, but I walked into their boutique and they had some sweet shoes for like 130 bucks, so I figured, why not? When in New York, right? Peace. Okay guys, and I don't want to bore you too much, I'm just going to tell you about my new physical therapy exercises. So to start, we do the towel lockouts, which I'll show you at the beginning. And then after the towel lockouts, we have a new exercise, which is a prone knee extension lying on my stomach. And this is simply to teach that right hamstring to let go and let the knee do what it's supposed to do. Oh man, that knee extension burns. Shorter. So after the knee lockouts, it's back to knee extension on the foam roller again, just trying to lock it out, but mostly pulling on that hamstring. And I need to add a little weight to this, maybe 2.5 to 5 pounds, hence the rope, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I think I'll just get a big wrist wrap that I have and put like a pink dumbbell in it and just wrap it around my leg. Not trying to spend money on ankle weights unless I'm training people with them. And after that, back to this terminal knee extension, not my favorite, but it's effective. And then the bread and butter of what he is teaching me now is to do one-legged holds at a 45-degree angle, which is very, very challenging. So here you see me kind of just standing in a one-legged 45-degree squat, 5 sets, 30 seconds, very, very challenging on most of my leg, and I feel it on my kneecap. And then wall sits and these little adductors. So everything's pretty self-explanatory. Right knee is unstable, the hamstring is locked up. So we are trying to train the vastus medialis and just any of the quadricep muscles on the medial part of the right leg because they are all atrophied and chilling. Somehow I still have leg mass, probably from the way I train and the way I eat and everything, but you can see part of my right leg is super atrophied. And again, it doesn't look strange and it doesn't bother me, but the doctor made me realize it, and I was like, damn, well, at least all these exercises feel just as good as squatting because they are challenging. So I'm grateful, and thank you guys for watching. Peace. One more week of this stuff. Oh yeah, and then weighted leg extensions, 75% strength. Pretty challenging, 3 positions, so onward. So I gotta hit that 4 more times, and that definitely makes me sore. And I feel it in my kneecap, really painful, but we gotta build it up. So 4 more here, then it gets more challenging.